So empaths, have you asked yourself a question as to why once upon a time you had a lot of people around you, friends, family members, relatives? That is as long as you was dealing with a narcissist. All of a sudden, yes, they were once your friends, they had your best interests at heart, they were very close to you, you spend a lot of time with them, and all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, they were gone. They're not calling you, they're distancing themselves from you, they don't want to be a part of you, they don't even want to associate with you. All of a sudden, they have become your enemies. They're stalking you, they're ganging up on you, they're doing all these kind of things, exactly the things that the narcissist used to do to you. And most of the times, it can be extremely painful, ladies and gentlemen. But again, that's not by coincidence. There is something going on behind the scenes, and that's exactly what I'm going to explain to you in this video. Let's go. Good morning, everyone. Good evening, and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Denzomos, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-growth. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us. Give us a like, share the video with friends, and you may subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. If you have dealt with a narcissist, of course, there is two words you're familiar with. You're familiar with the flying monkeys, and you're also familiar with the smear campaign. Now, eventually, I'll start with the family. I'm talking about the narcissistic parent. If you have been a black sheep in your family, scapegoat, eventually you've been dealing with the narcissistic parent at the top. Now, the narcissist parent, what they do first, they do not work alone. You have got to better believe it or not. Those individuals, they do not work alone. So they work with a team. They need a team on their sides because they need some kind of enablers. People, it's like some kind of extensions, people who are going to help them do their job. And by this, what I'm talking about the golden child. I'm talking about other toxic family members in that unit. So most of the times, along the lines, along the journey, along the years, over the years, they're going to condition those individuals to stand behind them. So a lot of those individuals, they'll be sometime monitoring you on the narcissist behalf. So what happens is that, so for example, let me say something is going on, you've done something wrong or whatever it is, those individuals actually, they're going to report back to the narcissist because again, that is due to the conditioning. And most of the times, you're going to notice that actually those family members, whatever it is, golden child or whatever, those family members, they're always going to be on your side. For as long as you're involved with the narcissistic parent, they're always going to stick with you for as long as it takes. But eventually, as you leave the narcissist, if you decide to leave the narcissistic parent, let me say you discard yourself out of the family, or let me say that the family may discard you. The very first thing what you're going to see is that all of a sudden, you're going to see all the family members that you ever thought were on your side for as long as it took, you ever thought was on your side, all of a sudden they're going to turn against you. So what happens in narcissistic family unit is that when you discard yourself out of those units, those individuals, you may always believe that those individuals, they have always had your back, they have always supported you. Yes, in most of the cases, it looked like that's what it looked like. Most of the cases, they were very close to you. You shared a lot of things together. You discussed so much things together. Now, all of a sudden, you've left the narcissist. The first thing what they will do, family members in the toxic family unit, they are all going to run and shield and protect the narcissist. So that's why you see, I've told you guys in my videos that a lot of black sheep, the scapegoats of those kind of families, most of the times when you're leaving those families, it is very, very, very painful. I can guarantee you guys it's extremely painful because a lot of times you have always thought that you had a very good team of family members around you, but all of a sudden now you feel isolated. They are supposed to make you feel isolated because remember, even if you're far away from the narcissist is going to use those individuals as extensions. Sometimes he's going to use them to reach out to you, try to hoover you, try to convince you to come back into those families. So all of a sudden you're going to see those individuals, they're going to turn against you. That's when you're going to see your sisters, your brothers, they're going to tell you, oh, you know what, how could you do that? You know what, how could you have just run out of the family? You know, we should have been together from the day one, you know, this and that. They are going to say all kind of BS. to make you believe that actually you're doing a mistake. So most of the times you're going to see those individuals ganging up towards you. And it's not going to be one individual. So when you've been with a dysfunctional family which involves a lot of family members, that's when you're going to feel the most isolated incident you've ever encountered in your life. You're going to see them ganging up on you, and they are always going to stand on the side of the narcissist. That is because, as extensions of the narcissist, those individuals, they are supposed to keep on monitoring incidents and situations in places or in situations or in circumstances where the narcissist is not available, or maybe sometimes they are in a distance, or sometimes they cannot even reach you. Maybe sometimes you've left those individuals, like for example the narcissistic father at the top. You might have left him, and all of a sudden you see you have blocked them. They cannot reach out to you, he cannot reach out to, or she cannot reach out to you. That is when you're going to see those sisters, those so-called family members, the flying monkeys. That's when you're going to see those individuals. They're going to gang up on you. They're going to they will try to gang up on you first of all. But when they see that they cannot take you down, they're now all going to start to communicate with each other and do everything to make sure that they make you feel extremely, extremely uncomfortable. They are going to start talking a lot of shit about you, because remember again, you've just discarded a narcissist. So most of the time, the things what happen after discarding a narcissist is called something what they call the smear campaign. So the narcissist starts to smear your name all within the family unit. Oh, you know what, so and so, I talked with them about this. They could not listen to me. They have never listened to me. They have always been a problem. They've always been that. Because remember that the narcissist does the smear campaign because they are trying to defend themselves, to make sure that they protect and they defend their image when it comes to other family members in the unit. So they have got to make sure that they defend themselves no matter what it takes. So most of the time, that's why when you live in those narcissistic parents, they are going to open up, and they are going to start up a very, very massive smear campaign against you. And believe me or not, the reason why you see a lot of those individuals are running away from you and they're distancing themselves from you, that is because they have been fed with a lot of BS from the narcissist. So you can better believe it or not that they know a lot of stuff, even some of the stuff that is not even true. They know a lot of stuff about you. The narcissist has sat down with them. They have told them a lot of BS about you. And that is why you see the ghosting happens. Now that's why you see them, they are distancing themselves from you. Sometimes they will try to make you feel uncomfortable. Sometimes they will try to talk about you. Sometimes if they cannot reach you, if they feel that sometimes probably you're trying to detach completely, they are going to send some of these other guys in the family to come around and hover you. Oh, you know, forgive dad. Dad just did, sometimes dad is like that. Dad has done a mistake, or mom has done a mistake. You should forgive them. Come back to the family because we miss you, and all those kind of nonsense and BS. You better believe it or not, guys. Let me tell you something. Those individuals, they do not have your best interests at heart. The number one person they are protecting in that family unit is the narcissist, and nothing more. It could be the narcissist, or sometimes it could be the neighboring parent. But most of the times, those individuals, they are standing behind those individuals at the top. So if you look at the situation of the relationship, you might have been involved with a woman or a man or whatever it is, and maybe there's these other aunties. Sometimes they're aunties, maybe sometimes the narcissist mother or the narcissist auntie, the relatives, and maybe some other people along the lines, along the circle. Most of those individuals, the narcissist spends a significant amount of time. As long as you're entangled with them, they are going to spend a lot of time trying to love bomb those individuals and to make them fall on their side. So they have got to make sure that they use them as well as extensions. But the very moment you leave those individuals, those narcissists, I can guarantee you guys, you're going to look around and those individuals, they're all gone. That's why you see a lot of guys who are going through the discard. A lot of these guys who have just left the narcissist. You guys who have left the narcissist, a lot of times, you're going to see times whereby you run into an auntie, you run into a stepmom, you run into a stepdad, or whatever it is, you're running into these individuals that were very much attached to your family. That is if you guys have had a family with a narcissist. So you're running to them, and it looks like all of them, they're turning a deaf ear. Because remember again, the moment the narcissist discards you, the very first thing what they will do, because they have got to run very fast and go to their flying monkeys and those enablers and try to tell them everything, all the BS about you. She was not a good wife. He was not a good husband. He didn't used to he never took care of us. He used to abandon us and all these kind of things. They will go and speak a lot of junk against you. And that is exactly where the problem comes, because now during those smear campaigns, that is exactly where their minds are completely turned against you. And whatever you say, it doesn't matter what you do, guys. I can guarantee you guys. And I'm going to do a video about the smear campaign as well. I can guarantee you that anything you talk when the smear campaign is going on is not valid. Why is it not valid? Because the narcissist has already moved one step ahead of you. The very moment you get out of that entanglement, or they discard you, or you discard them, the very first thing what they will do, they are going to run to those enablers and those flying monkeys, and they are going to start to fill their minds with a lot of junk. So by the time you come around to defend yourself, maybe sometime you've been discarded, you guys are separated, and you run over to an auntie who used to come around to your house for dinner or whatever it is, or birthday parties and things like that, sisters and whatever, relatives, brothers. The moment you run to them and you're trying to tell them what is going on to your family, believe me, I can guarantee you, you better believe it or not, those individuals, they know all the details, and they know all the details in a negative way. So they are all not with you. They are already against you. They have already been turned against you. So normally the smear campaign, the only way you guys can defend yourself against the smear campaign is continuing going the other way. They will talk about you, a lot of crap, a lot of BS, a lot of nonsense. They will usually do all these kind of things to make you feel uncomfortable, because the narcissist has made them believe that you are the problem. They have already cleared their name towards them, with them, and now they want those individuals to believe that you are the problem. You have always been the problem from day one. You go on and you move out, you work on yourself. So the smear campaign may take about 2 or 3 months normally, most of the times. But of course, as you keep on going on and on, those individuals, they're going to be left alone to deal with the narcissist and exactly to find out those particular individuals, what exactly are they all about. And believe me, of course, with time, with patience, and with divine timing, those individuals are going to come to the realization that whatever it is that has been smeared, whatever it is that they have smeared, the narcissist has smeared on your name, whatever it is they have talked about you is false, it is not true, and is not valid. And that is exactly when they are going to come to the realization that you were never the problem, and it was the narcissist. Even if sometimes you may see cases whereby the narcissist is very close to them, their family members, their relatives, or things like that. You may see sometimes cases whereby they may sometimes know the truth. They may not necessarily come and confront the narcissist about that truth, but they may sometimes keep their own distance when it comes to the narcissist, because they already know they have been fed with a lot of lies, and they have caused a lot of chaos and drama, and they have caused a lot of destruction in those kind of entanglements and relationships. So for the most of you guys, the black sheeps, the scapegoats, you have left those narcissists, you have gone out there, you started working on yourself, you started becoming a better version of yourself. You had better believe that the smear campaign is going to fade away with time. It is very, very hurtful and very painful in the beginning to know that actually a lot of individuals that you were involved with, for as long as you were involved with that narcissist, a lot of those individuals, as much as they came around and smiled at you, ate dinner with you, sometimes slept with you, or things like that, or sometimes were very close to you, slept in your house, or things like that. It is very painful to come to the realization that actually those individuals, they have never ever from day one had your best interest at heart. Those individuals, they were subconsciously working for the narcissist to destroy you and to make you feel a certain degree of pain. So they have always been extensions of the narcissist. That's the reason why you see the black sheep has always gone through, if you're talking about cases of the black sheep, that's why you see the black sheep has always gone through continuous cycles of torture and abuse and suffering. When it was not the narcissist parent at the top, it was one of the flying monkeys inflicting pain on the black sheep or the scapegoat. It was always a family member, it was always somebody on the side, it was always somebody who knew you guys in those partnerships, in those families, in those entanglements. If it wasn't them, then it was the narcissist. But now that the narcissist is detached and they're out of your life, you've discarded them or they have discarded you, those individuals, they're also going to go along with the narcissist, because again, we're talking about extensions of the narcissist. So a lot of you guys may be out there wondering, in the early days of the discard, you're lonely, nobody's coming around to console you, nobody's talking to you, you are suffering, you're somewhere crying by yourself, and all of them, they're believing it's your fault. They're keeping a distance and they're believing it's your fault. You have got the right to suffer, you have got the right to go through all that pain. That is because they have all been conditioned by the narcissist to stand against you. So it's not a coincidence. But again, everything comes back to healing. The more you heal, is the more you're going to know that a lot of them never had your best interest. It's going to take a lot of time to heal. I've told you guys that healing from narcissistic abuse is very intensive and very difficult. But most of the times when you heal, it is going to become more visible to you and more clear to you that those individuals all along, they have been enabling the narcissist. So they have been a part of the extension and they have been enabling the narcissist. And it has never had anything at all to do with you. So empaths, you heal. You go out there, you heal. You continue moving the other side, you don't look back. You block those narcissists, you go no contact, and with time allow this information to come to you, allow the revelation to come to you that actually from day one, you have always been alone, You will most of the time be alone until at some point in time along your healing journey you're going to find your soul family and now create your own world that you want to experience in your reality. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below, guys. Until then, it's been lovely to have you guys on board. Much love and blessings. Desmond signing out, and peace.